The biggest obstacle I've had to overcome was self doubt. Self doubt. The biggest lesson I've learned from it is that you may not get everything right or do everything right the first time or second time or ever. But if you just keep trying and keep believing in yourself, you have to do both. You have to keep trying and keep believing in yourself. Then eventually you'll get the results that you're looking for.
Welcome to the Small Business Podcast series, where every week we're interviewing small business guests that support the small business community. Today we have a special guest. He's got Atlanta, Georgia. He does financial professional, specializing in working with investors to help them grow their money and, kind of cool from an investment standpoint, protect their money. That is a critical element, I think, especially if we talk about today. And we're recording this during the week, kind of when the stock market has gone bonkers. We don't know what it's going to do in the next 2 months before this podcast actually airs, but it is very, very important for protection of assets, along with just some ideas to grow money. And today we have Isaiah Davis with the Estate Experts. But here's the trick: Isaiah is not only a specializing in all of these fun things we're going to talk about today, he's also an author. And he's got a book out. I'm going to let him talk about that book towards the end of the podcast. So stick around as we continue our conversation with Isaiah Davis. Isaiah, welcome to the podcast.
Mr. Pond, thank you so much for having me. You know, I support you in everything that you're doing. This is amazing. So thank you for having me.
I appreciate it, Isaiah. So give us a quick intro. What is it that we talked about financial professional in Atlanta, and you're specializing with working with people, but give us that rundown. What do you do?
Yes. I am a real estate professional. I'm a financial professional. I actually help educate a lot of people about their finances. I never thought I would be in that position, honestly, because when I started in business at 15 years old, I was flat broke. But I'm a real estate professional in Atlanta, Georgia. I specialize in helping people in the residential market invest in properties. A lot of people are looking to invest. Some people are scared, but we're working on that. I'm not sure how your market's doing, Mr. Pine, but we'll talk after this. Um, but anyways, so with that being said, I'm also looking to help individuals protect their investments as well. So a lot of people are investing in the financial market right now. They don't know certain things that they need to do to help make sure that they mitigate some of the risk that they're taking on, and calculating the cost of everything. So we sit down and do a risk analysis with them and help them really have a plan to protect and invest.
We were talking about this in the before we kind of hit the record button. We had a little conversation going on, and you talked about how you're truly trying to help people get out of poverty. And I really, really think that's amazing work. Now, but you also commented that when you started at 15, you were dead broke. Let's talk a little bit. Talk a little bit about the story. Like, how did you start a business from dead broke?
How did I start a business from dead broke? Well, I was forced into business, I always say, um, because I had no other choice. Like I said, I was broke. I left my dad's house early, so at 15, I was pretty much already in a state of emancipation. And so, with my mom just living there and seeing the condition at that time, which was totally different from my previous environment, I knew I wanted more for myself. But as a Christian, being taught what I was taught, I didn't know if it was okay to have money as a Christian. So I lived for years broke, but whole in my spirit, you know. And then as time began to go on, I just started getting revelations about helping people and how important it is for me to actually be a philanthropist in society and take on that mindset, you know, of servanthood. And so that's pretty much, you know, what I adopted. And now the rest really is history.
So you went through this whole journey. You've been able to go from dead broke out at 15 on your own. You've learned that through serving others and really helping, out in the community, that people pay you and things end up going well. I love a quote from Daniel Rabbi Lapin in, and I forget the title of the book at the moment, but he says, people give you certificates of appreciation with presidents' faces on them.
Mm.
And you do that by just you're giving to the community. There's nothing wrong with getting money and learning all of those things growing up. How have you helped change the lives of others through this process?
Oh my God, that's a huge question. Thank you for asking that. Well, even starting out in customer service, I wouldn't even mention sales because, like I said, for years I worked, but I was still had no money, and that was largely due to just learned behavior growing up, in my environment at that time. But along the way, starting out in customer service, that was my first opportunity to be around people. I worked for a large company. I won't mention the name of it, but it really taught me the basis of customer service. And from there, it was 101. I started seeing people. They were in real motion, telling me how their experience with me was making them feel, and how it would, just how I would just brighten their day. So with that being said, I knew that that was the right thing to do to really help people, especially during COVID at that time. Once that time started coming up, I knew there was a shift in the way that we did customer service. It was no longer going to be in person, but it was going to be virtual. And so that's where the shift in my life really started taking place financially. And then it just took off. It took off.
Yeah, pouring out into the community. And listeners out there, stick around as we continue into this conversation with Isaiah, learning about his business and learning about how he supported, because there's something here. And I say that because when we first jumped on the call today, his energy was definitely brightened my afternoon. I mean, so there's something here. Stick around for this whole conversation as we keep going on. Hey, real quick. Did you know that most small businesses don't actually achieve their breakthrough? And it's not because you don't care. It's all because you're trying to do it alone. That's why I created the Momentum Community, is to help you change that. I want to see you achieve the breakthrough that you've been waiting for. It's where we committed entrepreneurs come and get focused, get accountable, and finally build a business and life that you are meant for. If you want to learn more, click the link in the description below and enjoy the rest of the episode. What's a recent project or initiative that has really reminded you this is why I'm in business?
So that's a great question. Do you mind if I think about that for a second?
Oh, no, that's good.
Wow. Project or initiative. Wow. So I can talk about an initiative that speaks to me. Just my desire is to help people achieve their dreams of owning their own home. That's a major thing that I support, because home ownership is deeper than just owning a piece of property. It's more than just money. There are just a bundle of rights that are involved with home ownerships that give you just the satisfaction of a legacy building, if it's done right, if it's a good deal. But that question really is loaded. I stand behind everyone having an equal opportunity. I stand behind everyone having a shot in America at the American dream. Some people don't believe in the American dream. I believe that America is a place where people come from all walks of life to have a second shot, or to have a shot just at life. So I support home ownership. I support home ownership education, and just helping buyers and sellers, as well as individuals, protect their finances, protect their legacy.
Yeah, it's very, very powerful. And it is so critical to, as you said, support, right? We come from all walks of life. We come from all of this space, and we are commanded through the Bible to love everybody and help lift everybody up. There's not, the judgment is not, that is not in our, that's not in our commands at all. We are not to judge. We're to love, we're to lift, and we're to support and spread the discipleships.
Yes.
So if with that, you started down this journey and you had to overcome some fears because you wrote a book about it. Why don't you talk a little bit about this book that you wrote?
Well, the book Overcoming the Fear of Closing Deals really was given to me just as time has gone on through experience, through not just experience, but also facts, and also research. So the data proves itself. But overcoming the fear of closing deals was really my discovery and learning how to communicate value. And when I understood how to communicate value in anything, especially in what I believe in, then there's a force behind that. There's a power behind that that can change any circumstance, including financial circumstances. And so that's what I support. That's what I believe in. And instead of just believing in it, knowing it, doing it for myself, I felt led to create something that I could give to people, essentially at a relatively inexpensive cost. Matter of fact, the only reason why it is a cost to it is because I believe that if you invest in yourself, then you're going to reap some sort of harvest from an investment that you make into yourself. But otherwise than that, like I say, too much is given, much is required. And if you really, really want what you've never had, you got to do what you've never done. If you've never read books, if you've never studied, if you've never practiced or tried something, sometimes it's you don't know what to do, and that can create a fear. But you just need to overcome that through support and community, which is what serving is all about. That's what we're doing. As you know, as the world should be serving each other. And so that was my mission in creating that.
Absolutely. That's amazing. It's
Thank you.
amazing to hear that there's somebody out there that is pouring into society as much as you are and helping, people get into their first homes and helping them protect those assets as they really decide to invest into their future and continue to be, hopefully, as you said, living the American dream
There you go.
and progressing on in life. Isaiah, it has been an absolutely powerful conversation today. We have heard about your story, your journey, and everything else. Any final thoughts that you want to give out to the listeners out there before we jump into the lightning round?
No, but Mr. Pine, I want to say that what you're doing for people right now, this is necessary, even for people like me. This is what we need. I'm just grateful to be a part of this opportunity, and I appreciate you. I really
Well,
do.
thank you so much for that. It
You're
is an
welcome.
absolute joy of mine to host this podcast and interview special people like yourself that are giving so much value to the world at large. And whether it's in a micro pocket or globally, it doesn't really matter. It's that value. It's the value that you bring to the
That's it.
community.
There you go.
We'll jump into our lightning round here. There are 4 or 5 questions. I might be wrong. There might be 6 that we'll jump into. And they're quick hitting questions that are meant to bring some brevity here towards the end of the podcast. So as we jump in, first question, coffee or tea?
Coffee.
How about cats or dogs?
I love dogs. Oh, come on now.
If you could grab only one weapon or item during a zombie apocalypse, what would it be?
A gun.
Gun. There you go. Favorite quote or phrase that you think about often?
In order to get what you've never had, you got to do what you've never done.
Yep, I love that. That's twice in there, and that
There you go.
powerful.
Redundant.
How about a book that has influenced your life the most?
Sell or Be Sold by Grant Cardone. It's amazing.
Yes, Sell or Be Sold. And the biggest obstacle you have had to overcome and one lesson you have learned from it.
The biggest obstacle I've had to overcome was self-doubt. The biggest lesson I've learned from it is that you may not get everything right or do everything right the first time or second time or ever. But if you just keep trying and keep believing in yourself, you have to do both. You have to keep trying and keep believing in yourself. then eventually you'll get the results that you're looking for. And if you're not getting the results that you're looking for, then there's a community around you somewhere. Don't feel like you're alone. Find someone in your market that can help you. And if you can't find someone, reach out to me on Facebook or Instagram, something, and I'll help you.
Absolutely. And speaking of that, how can our listeners reach out to you if they want to connect for community, if they want to learn more about what you're doing in this world?
Yes, so you can go to Facebook and find me at Isaiah R. Davis, just like I was printing at the bottom of the screen. And then also on Instagram, it's Isaiah Davis Realtor. I'm doing some amazing things on Instagram. And then you can also find me on LinkedIn at Isaiah R. Davis. And if you connect with me, then I will definitely message you back if you message me. So
Excellent. We'll have all of that information located in the show notes as we wrap up the podcast here. Isaiah, thank you so much for being on the podcast today. It has been such a valuable and powerful input to have somebody that pours so much into the community at large and is focused on a big vision of progressing the American dream, which some people have thought are dead. And both I'm in Isaiah's camp. It's not dead. It's very much alive and capable if you have the right mind and you want to push forward. Anybody can do it. Anybody can achieve anything. That's the end of this episode today. If you want to hear more Small Business Breakthrough episodes, click the link up here if you're watching this on YouTube. Otherwise, to all my listeners out there, until next time.